Are you ready to unlock new business opportunities in Virginia? I mean, really ready? Because today you're going to discover the step-by-step process to obtain your resale certificate and totally elevate your entrepreneurial journey. Welcome to this explainer, where we're giving you the absolute ultimate guide to mastering the Virginia resale certificate. We'll be breaking down everything you need to know, straight from the Virginia Department of Taxation's own rulings and guidelines. Let's get right into it.
If you're running a retail, wholesale, or manufacturing business, you're probably facing a completely agonizing problem right now: double taxation. Just imagine paying sales tax when you buy your inventory and then having to collect sales tax again when you sell that exact same item to your customer. It just ekes away at your cash flow, right? It makes competitive pricing nearly impossible. But there is a concrete, step-by-step solution to this problem, and that's exactly what we're going to uncover today.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll define what a resale certificate actually is. Second, we'll look at the eligibility criteria. Third, we'll walk through the step-by-step application process. Fourth, some really important considerations. Fifth, practical tips. And finally, number 6, we'll cover common mistakes and FAQs.
All right, let's dive right into Section 1, an introduction to resale certificates.
Meet your new best friend, Form ST10, officially known as the Virginia Sales and Use Tax Certificate of Exemption. Seriously, think of this form as a magic ticket for legitimate retail and wholesale operations. It's basically a formal declaration that allows you to buy tangible personal property, like your inventory, your raw materials, or even the packaging you put your products in, completely tax-free as long as it's intended for resale. By skipping that upfront sales tax, you keep your cash flow healthy and make sure you're only collecting tax at the final point of retail sale. It's a real game changer.
Moving on to Section 2, eligibility criteria. Basically, who actually qualifies for this incredible exemption?
To be eligible in the Commonwealth of Virginia, you've got to meet a few baseline requirements. First up, you must be a registered dealer with the state. This means you hold an active Virginia sales tax permit, which provides you with a very specific 15-digit state account number. You can't just make up a business name. You literally need that official 15-digit number from the state. Crucially, you must actively intend to resell the goods you're buying or use them as packaging for products that will be sold. Put simply, you must be actively selling taxable goods to qualify.
Now, state rulings can get incredibly specific depending on what you're actually reselling. Take cigarettes, for example. If you want a cigarette resale exemption certificate, the state requires you to have a physical place of business in Virginia properly zoned for retail with a minimum of 250 square feet of enclosed space, all alongside an active local business license. It's a really fascinating look at how strictly regulated certain categories are just to prevent fraud. Okay, shifting gears to Section 3. The step-by-step application process. Securing and using your resale certificate is a surprisingly simple 4-step process. Step 1. Register your business for a sales tax permit with the Virginia Department of Taxation. Step 2. Gather up your business details, including your federal employer identification number and that vital 15-digit permit number we talked about. Step 3. Download and completely accurately fill out Form ST10. And Step 4. Honestly, this is the most important part. You do not submit this form to the state. Nope. You hand it directly to your supplier or vendor right at the time of purchase. They're the ones who actually need it to justify why they didn't charge you tax.
Which brings us to Section 4, important considerations for keeping everything totally compliant.
It is absolutely crucial to understand the difference between two highly confused terms here. A sales tax permit is what authorizes your business to collect tax from your customers. A resale certificate, or Form ST10, is the document that authorizes your business to buy goods tax-free from your suppliers. They work together for sure, but they serve completely different administrative purposes. You generally need the permit in order to legally use the certificate.
If you take nothing else away from this section, please remember this: keep immaculate records. Both buyers and suppliers must keep a fully executed and signed copy of Form ST10 on file. The state requires you to retain these transaction records for a minimum of 3 to 5 years just to survive Virginia's standard audit look-back window. But honestly, tax professionals highly recommend retaining them indefinitely for maximum audit protection. Because if an auditor comes knocking and your supplier doesn't have your ST10 on file, that transaction is considered taxable and someone is going to owe back taxes and penalties.
All right, let's look at Section 5, some practical tips and advice for your everyday operations. To seamlessly run your business day to day, you really need to understand the concept of good faith.
According to a ruling from the Virginia Tax Commissioner, if a seller accepts a perfectly filled out ST10 in good faith, meaning the items being purchased reasonably look like they're actually for resale by that specific type of business, the seller is legally protected and relieved from liability. But if you walk into a supplier with a resale certificate for a bakery and try to buy tax-free auto parts, yeah, the seller definitely should not accept that in good faith.
Now, a very common scenario involves out-of-state certificates. If you're an out-of-state business buying in Virginia, you should know that Virginia strictly prefers its own Form ST10. While Virginia can accept an out-of-state form or a multi-jurisdictional form, it must perfectly match all the exact details required on the ST10. Because uniform forms are accepted strictly at the seller's risk, a lot of Virginia vendors will just simply reject them. So the absolute best practice, if you frequently buy inventory in Virginia, is to just register for a Virginia permit and use the official ST10.
Let's move into Section 6, Common Mistakes and FAQs. Basically, the traps you want to avoid.
This is the most common and frankly the most dangerous mistake out there. Form ST10 cannot under any circumstances be used for personal items, business equipment, or internal office supplies. If you buy a desk for your office, a computer to run your register, or even printer paper for your back room, you must pay sales tax on those items. They are for business consumption, not for resale. Claiming an exemption on these items is a massive violation.
And if you do violate those rules, here is the number you need to remember: $1,000. That is the steep penalty for misusing the resale certificate. And it doesn't even stop there. Misuse can lead to a temporary suspension of your certificate. If you continue to use a suspended certificate, well, that escalates to a Class 1 misdemeanor. And if fraudulent intentions are proven, you could actually face imprisonment or up to a $2,500 fine. The state takes this incredibly seriously. Now, a top frequently asked question we see is, when does my certificate expire? Well, Form ST10 actually has no set expiration date on the calendar. However, its lifespan is tethered directly to the health of your underlying sales tax permit. If your permit is revoked, canceled, or suspended by the state, your Form ST10 immediately becomes invalid. And that brings us to Section 7. Let's do a quick recap and talk about next steps. Let's lock in your core takeaways. Form ST10 is your absolute best tool to eliminate double taxation and protect your cash flow. To use it, simply complete the form accurately and provide it directly to your suppliers. Keep strict, organized records for at least 3 to 5 years to protect yourself during audits. And if you're a supplier who needs to verify a buyer's form, since Virginia doesn't have an online portal for this yet, you can manually verify forms by calling the Virginia Department of Taxation directly at 840-367-8037.
Just a quick professional note before we go. The information provided in this explainer is based on the current legal and procedural landscape in Virginia as of August 2026. Tax laws are always evolving, so we strongly recommend that you always consult a legal advisor or a tax professional for personalized advice. Look, understanding and leveraging tax codes like the ST10 isn't just about compliance. It's about strategically building a resilient, cash flow positive empire. The tools are literally right in front of you, so what are you going to build with them? Thanks for watching and keep learning.